Welcome everyone to the final qualifier week and we're looking at the sound. Absolutely unprepared. The final qualifier match for the UKY Bluegrass Showdown. I'm Big Soup with the white team, and I'm joined here by someone else.
This is Star Garden, also of the white team for Center College.
This being the last match reminds us a lot of our last match last season on Samoa. I hate this map, and I really hope that we love this map. We are running the exact same comp that we've been running this whole time. I think I say that with a bit of animosity, but that's just because I like goofing. I like running the ball for no reason, the echo to throw them off. But I completely understand wanting to go with bread and butter, especially whenever it is such a high stakes game. I do think they are going to start with the sim. They might swap off that sim, but a Cassidy to start, a Lucio to match. They are going to swap to that Tracer. This is a lot of sort of mixture of dive and poke from both of these teams. It's really interesting to see.
Yeah, so it's kind of looking like we're going to hold a little bit back on point, just play that natural cover. Their Cassidy is going to hold on top. He is a little bit alone. Maybe we can get Who's James and Tooney to try and dive that. The Lucio is going to go up there. Big hedge out there from Blakeu, getting them really low. Their team is extremely weak here. UCLA is going to have to kind of play very, very conservative. Who's James getting a big rail. Team's going to be able to follow up on that. Blakeu getting their tank. And their mortar is very, very weak in the back. Who's James just missing that rail. Very unfortunate. Tooney's getting taken out by that Cassidy. That Cassidy is exactly 1 HP. And he's going to get that passive to come back with the Moira there as well. And we're going to get to cap the point.
You know, honestly, dying at the same time as your Lucio is not the worst situation. It sucks that two people died, but the two fastest characters that we have. That was really well played from the DPS there. I think just laying hate from as far as possible whenever they have that May, or I think at the time it was a Tracer that can't really do much, the Baptiste, things like that. It's sort of playing to your strengths at the moment.
Yeah, so it's looking like UCLA is going to switch to the May and to the BAP to kind of go closer to the mirror match here. DPS a little bit different. The wall is going to come out from UCLA. Who's James has that rail ready to hit someone's skull. Galvanizo is going to be right in the enemy team, gets hindered, but has the Nemesis form to take as much damage as he possibly can. Galvanizo is going to get the May. It's going to be a May trade. Carp is also going to fall to their Cassidy. Maybe we can get their Cassidy here. Big boop there. You have both of them kind of out of the fight a little bit. The Tooney's going to have to play a little bit safe here with Galvanizo, is trying all as long as possible. We have our Annihilation to be very, very wise not to use it. We are coming up on all ults here.
I think that was a kind of nice way to play that specific fight right there. You're down off the rip and it's a trade, but then you lose one of your supports, and so really we need to play for stall. I don't know that we're going to win this with all the ults and things that are up, and we end up getting up to 50%. I think that's really nice way to play that, especially when you're down like that. Having the overclock to start this fight is going to be very nice, and a blizzard to finish it, hopefully.
That was a good wall there, kind of separating the team. We have the window go out just from Carp here, so you can get as much healing as possible and a little bit of damage going in. Galvanizo is very, very forward, maybe looking for Annihilation. They're going to use window. We are going to overclock, and we're also going to have the B come out from UCLA. Who's James getting a big rail onto the Baptiste. Blakeu going to get the May difference there. This Lucio is very, very forward. He's very weak. He's going to barely live. Maybe. There we go. Ooh, there we go. It was a little long there. Maybe purposeful stagger, but we were going to reclaim the point there.
That went down to a fifth fight between Who's James and the Lucio. No bullets, only hands. We did use 3 ultimates there. I really like the way that Carp used that ult, to where we use it at the start of the fight in order to keep everybody healthy and make sure everybody gets on, and then we use both DPS in order to finish it off. I think it's a little bit risky way to play it, but you have a defensive ult, you have Annihilation, which can turn the tides of a lot of battles, so I don't think that necessarily puts us out at all, but we do need to be careful of things like Blizzard, or even a well-placed High Noon could really mess with us here.
Yeah, so it's looking like, I mean, if I were Tooney, I would say they'll hear for when Galvanizo gets weak. There's the Blizzard coming out. Tooney is going to die to the High Noon, though. There's 2 ults coming out from UCLA. Galvanizo extremely weak. That was an Ultimates game, and UCLA just had more Ultimates available and used 2 of them there. Maybe a little bit of an overcommit, if we're being honest, because Nenner still has 2.
Who's James was able to stall there a little bit with a beautiful rail, but not quite able to finish off. I think that we're still playing this a little bit better because we're getting about 40 to 50, and we're just getting it first. They're getting 40 to 50, we're getting 40 to 50, and just as long as we win this next fight, which I do think we will, we're pretty close to overclock, and we still have Annihilation and Beat. I think we should see this go into Center's favor on this point, unless something drastically goes wrong.
We are gonna offensive beat here, and the beat is only going to get Tooney. So we're gonna have to use the lamp. Both Annihilations coming out from both teams. That is all the ultimates off the field. The rail's gonna come out there from Who's James, and Blake is gonna be able to finish off the tank. Their May is very, very weak here. Our Annihilation is still going. It was a very long Annihilation. The Overclock is gonna come out just to be able to secure this point. UCLA is gonna switch to Doomfist, try and get a last minute touch. Their supports are gonna be able to take out Who's James. It is just Lucio on point right now, stalling for this Doomfist. The BAF is going to jump down here as well, use the window, try and survive as long as possible. The lamp is also going to come out. Blake is going to have freeze. Chuck it at that Doomfist to get him to get slow and fall. Their Tracer is going to come in, get the touch for as long as possible. She is very, very weak. She's going to use Recall to survive. We're just going to try and stall this point as long as possible. We are going to maybe get the point here. The good wall there, we are going to get the first point.
It's very nice. I think that the sort of movement patterns of Blake there at the end there were a little bit scary. As one of the few people with an ult that can absolutely shut down the point, you have to make sure that you can pop that ult when you need it, and sort of taking different fights is kind of scary whenever maybe you should just run away, but it did end up working, so don't mean to discourage it at all.
Yeah, looking like UCLA here is going to go to a mirror of what we had on the last point, but we are going to switch it up a little bit. We are going to opt off of the Sojourn for a Reaper and off of the Baptiste for a Moira.
I really like the Sojourn swap because I feel like there was a lot of fights in which Who's James was sort of going against one of the subs, and just the Baptiste is just a crack shot and would shoot Who's James out of the air. So sort of switching up the playstyle, switching the pace. If you realize that, like, hey, this isn't working as well as I like it to, the Reaper, I feel like, is a completely invited pick here.
Yeah, and UCLA is going to opt for the Sim TP first and swap onto the Sojourn. Their wall is going to come out very early here, so that is a little bit of a cooldown advantage here for center. Their tank is very split, so they're just going to run in onto their supports. The lamp is going to come out very, very early for UCLA. Blake is going to get a support, but their Sojourn is going to take out Who's James. So we're going to try and back up it just a little bit, try and make some space. We do have a little bit of an advantage with them missing a support. Their wall is going to come out. Tooney is weak. Harp is just trying to heal as much as possible here. Get a little bit of a healing orb. The wall is going to block off their tank. We are going to take control over the point. Galvanisio is going to get their May. We are down both of our supports. Their tank is just going to try and do as much damage as possible. And this is going to be a flip of the point here probably, and see how long Who's James can stall, see how much percentage we can get on this point here.
Just a really scrappy fight that I think was just sort of seconds off from being a good fight, to where you have the fight ending as soon as Who's James is getting back, and Galvanisio, I think, falls as soon as Who's James is fading in, and it's just a really unfortunate, like, somebody couldn't hold out for one more second, and so there was just a chain reaction of people falling.
Yeah, I mean, going into this fight, we immediately have our Coalescence here. This could be a nice little spot to use it. They are very weak, though, behind the wall. There's the Coalescence coming out to try and save Galvanisio and the rest of our team. Their Lucio is extremely weak. We're going to have to focus some heals with that Coalescence. The beat is going to come out inside of UCLA. Galvanisio is extremely weak. Carp is going to have to pump as much healing as possible. He's taking so much damage, and with that DPS passive, it's just so hard to keep him healthy. Our wall is going to go down. We're going to try and push point here as much as possible. Blakeu has the freeze here coming up. UCLA is going to use Overclock. UCLA is coming up on 3 ult here. The freeze is going to go out. James is going to get their May. Maybe be able to get a kill onto their tank. Maybe get their tank. The Annihilation is going to come out. We are super, super close. Our Annihilation is going to come out. And Who's James getting 2? Who's James has the Reaper ult. Probably not going to need to commit it. Carp is going to be able to get the pick onto their tank. Their Lucio is also going to fall. Wow.
That was a really nice way to play that. I think that you pop 2 really big ults. I think 3. I want to say 2, but Carp being so far into the next coal made me think it was only 2. You pop Coalescence to go in, and then you pop Freeze in order to preserve that fight and give you the advantage, and then you pop Annihilation whenever some of you fall in order to make up for the people who you've lost along the way. I think that's a fantastic way to play that. You're playing very numbers game, playing very...
James getting a decent Blossom there, but it's just kind of a little bit too far forward. Their team is very, very low from it, though. We are already at our next Coalescence, but we don't need to use it. We're just doing so much damage. Galvanisio is going to fall, though. Carp doing a little bit too much damage more there. But that is perfectly fine because they probably get a quick back. Carp is very, very forward. You need backup just to make sure he lives and has enough support for the team.
You know, I'm gonna say I'm surprised that this demon has decided to take Carp's vessel and just be so aggressive with this Moira, just playing way beyond the boundaries that supports should be able to play around. having a beat for this last fight is going to be really nice. Hopefully they can stop the shift to the point. They cannot stop the shift to the point. They're going to
Breeze
blitz.
is going to come out. We are also going to use Coalescence. Their lamp is going to come out fairly early. The aggressive beat here is to try and murder their point. They also use beat and overclock here. We do not have any ults going into this fight. So this is a little scary, but Galvanizo is going to get a pick. Blakey is going to fall to the overclock. Their Sojourn is going to fall to Toonie, and this is just kind of back and forth. Their Ramatra is going to get Who's James here. Galvanizo is just looking for their Baptiste. Their Baptiste is extremely weak. Their Baptiste is going to fall. It's just Ramatra and Lucio on point. It is our Ramatra in both supports. Try and look at it. It's just calling targets here, seeing what can happen. Their Lucio is going to fall, or our Lucio is going to fall. Both of our supports are going to fall. And this is just stalling point for as long as possible. The Annihilation is going to come out though. There's just so much damage coming out. And that's not going to be quite enough of a touch there for Blakey.
You know, we were able to get the touch, but I do think this point is over. It was really, really unfortunate. I think what decides that point right there, even if we lose that, what decides whether or not that's the last fight is us getting that touch. We didn't get that touch there at the end, and it shifted because of that May wall. And I think that we were a little bit scared to commit and leap over that May wall because we knew that they just had so much. We put everything into that last fight, and we just couldn't. If we had stalled, I think we would have gone to. We would have gone to the last little bit. We would maybe taken it to 99 on our part and gotten another touch, but because it shifted, it just put us behind in that just numbers game. Really unfortunate the way that it ran.
So it's looking like, I mean, UCLA is doing the sim strat every single time. I don't think it's making too much of an advantage, but it is getting to point a little bit faster than center is. So we're going to speed right out of point and just kind of see what we can do.
I think that us getting a little bit farther behind is always going to suck, but there's something about that sim, it's just not being the greatest advantage. I think with just how many characters have dashes and things like that, they're not getting too much leeway with it. Ooh, incredibly hurt. The Nodai has to come out early from center gold here. They're going to pop that recall, but isn't really worth whenever your subs are so far back, not able to really help you in this team fight.
The point is unlocked. No one is going for it. Toonie with an insane shot onto their Tracer. So they're going to be down one. Their Ramatra is also very weak, getting healed by their Moira. It's looking like center is going back to the kind of basic comp, which is nothing to sneeze at. But Galvanizo is going to go forward here. We're going to see if we can get the point. They are down their tank. So that is going to be the point for center there.
We are down May, which is going to be one of our more defensive characters, but Blake will be back fast, and we really, this isn't necessarily we need to have the greatest hold ever. We just need to stall because we did kill some of them, so we can wait out some cooldowns, especially if we kill another one there. It looks like Galvanizo might go a little bit aggressive for that Sojourn. Ooh, but the Nodai comes out, might not be able to save Galvanizo. Your tank has fallen. Blakey's back, but really I don't think you can win this with the amount of resources that you spent to keep Galvanizo alive and then failing to keep Galvanizo alive. It's really unfortunate the way that fight ran just then.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of that new DPS passive makes it so insanely important that you don't get walled off. I mean, that's not something you can control too much, but Galvanizo just kind of gets a little bit split there and takes so much damage that they cannot heal it. So we are also coming up on both of our DPS ults. We are about 2/3 of the way to both of our, or we're coming up on both of our support ults, 2/3 of the way to both of our DPS ults, and about 2/3 of the way to our tank ult as well. So this could be kind of an ultimate game.
Taking this point, I think, is something that center can do, especially with a wall like that.
Walled off. We are going to kind of offensive beat and use our window here to kind of pepper into their team. Their Tracer is going to immediately fall to Toonie here. I think she was looking for a pulse bomb, but it is not going to matter. We are going to try and get the point. It's just the Ramatra sitting on point. Their Moira is going to jump down now as well. Their Lucio is kind of stall as long as possible, but that is looking like the point flip there for center.
Something that I think that this game is really, really relying on is which Ram is just playing with their cooldowns a little bit better, because as we saw in that fight, he's playing around his shield, he's playing around his slow, he's doing all these things, but because of the fact that we also have a Ram, the shield can get ignored and the slow can be ignored because we have the extra health, all these different things. It's going to be a matter of which Ram can play those cooldowns a little bit better.
Yeah, so it's like the pulse bomb is going to come out. It's going to get the no dive from center over here. And their Tracer is just getting our support back line. This is not very good. They're also going to use Cole. That is 2 ultimates down from UCLA. And center is going to try and stall this point as long as possible, but I don't think it's going to be able to get flipped just because of how much damage UCLA is doing and how much we got split up there.
I think being able to preserve it to 58 is pretty nice. We have the lead. We're not going to have it for very long, and I think that they will automatically get the lead just because of how time works. But we have 3, they have 2. They have 2 really big ones, but a freeze, a well-timed freeze will stop literally every single team. And I think that if we can play it really well, or even the overclock really well, if we can get Who's James into a good position to get some nice picks.
There's the overclock coming out. Their Lucio is extremely weak. He is going to beat there. And we are also going to freeze. We are going to use 2 of our ult here. Who's James and Carp are both going to fall. Galvanizo is extremely weak to their annihilation. And Toonie is just going to try and get out and live as long as possible to get them back to point.
You know, we used 2 there. We used the 2 ultimates that I was saying these have to be game changers, and these weren't game changers. So this last fight is going to be no ultimates on either team. Overclock and Pulse Bomb will probably come up, but our support ults are pretty quick, and I think that it's just going to be how much mileage can we get out of this annihilation. We have to just stall the 20% to our Lucio or the 20% to our window with this annihilation. Like I said, Galvanizo is going to be a key player in this fight.
Yeah, Galvanizo, the rest of the team's going to go low. Galvanizo is going to use Annihilation in their team, block as much damage as possible while doing enough damage. We have the window up, we almost have the beat. Beat is going to get used on cooldown as well as window just for as much heals as possible. The Pulse Bomb coming out on the Galvanizo, not quite getting him. The no-die is also going to come out from Carp and is going to fall immediately. Galvanizo walking very far forward. Carp getting a really good shot there with the last few seconds of window. And our Sojourn is going to immediately get their Sojourn. That is going to be the point flip for center as well. And this is looking like a really good fight.
You know, I said that it's going to be who can get the most mileage out of the Ram. Well, what Ram can just come on top in that fight. And I think that, honestly, I was a little bit wrong. I was a little bit wrong because the Sups, I feel like, were the all-stars of that fight right there. Beating in order to preserve the Ramatra's life so that Ramatra can just hold that point down. And then windowing, not only to keep the Ramatra up, but also to just finish off their Ramatra. Fantastic play from both supports.
Yeah, I'm really worried here. Center is going into this fight down on ult. UCLA does have the Coalescence. Speaking of the Coalescence, is going to come out. Blakey is immediately going to get their Tracer, though, and we almost have point here. The Coalescence is going to break the lamp here. Their Lucio is extremely weak. Galvanizo is also very weak. He needs to get support. Who's James has the Overclock. The Overclock is going to come out, and after right before getting a pick onto their Lucio, he's doing as much damage as possible onto their tank. Their support is playing, and then the sightline, so Who's James can't see him. Their Tracer immediately going to get dropped, not even to get a point to touch. Their Ramatra is going to use Annihilation. He's very, very weak. Blake is going to get him. There is still a Sojourn on this point, just contesting. Galvanizo is going to be able to try and punch him. Their B is going to come out. That is a long stall here for UCLA. Their Sojourn is going to fall. It is just their Lucio. With 3 of us on point, we get the cap flip. And that is going to be first round for Center College.
Absolutely crazy first map, down to the wire. That was very, very well played. Also, maybe we've got a little bit of Who's James check him PC. A little bit. that Tracer shot was kind of crazy. Carp, I knew that Carp was gonna get this. These Coles have been so on point. Every single skill orb is going through their entire team like 3 times. Just the healing that's going through here. I want to say that most of this was healing. I want to say that this was just an all-star heal play, and then just finish off that Lucio a little bit. Sat that Lucio's life force a little bit. I have no idea what's next. All of the different tournaments have confused me, so we'll see you in the next map. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Map 2. It is currently 1-0 in Center's favor. I think this is still just best of 3. We are going to be going to Dorado. We absolutely love Dorado. We don't know how Gold feels about Dorado, but us on White Team will pick Dorado any day, every day, no matter the team. Put me on any tank, any DPS, any support. Dorado is our map.
Yeah, I mean, White runs the craziest comps here on Dorado. We'll see if maybe a little bit of that comes out here. We're going to see who's James here starting on the defensive Tracer. As a Tracer player, I love me some defensive Tracer. As well as Toonie on the Brig. We were just talking during the break about, like, hey, we can get a Brig player and be kind of funny, but we're actually going to see Toonie on this Brig here.
As an Orisa player, I love to see Galvanijo on the Orisa. I think a little bit neglected this season. This season of Overwatch, I mean, I think just the recent changes have made different tanks a higher priority, and this is kind of one of those weird cases to where Orisa's range and Orisa's just ability to anchor.
Sonic
Arrow. Had every single person in that game and us distracted. But I love to see the Orisa here.
Yeah, we're going to see who's James here kind of having to run a little bit. Their support's going on a little bit of a flank. They are also going to swap onto the Tracer. You're seeing some very unconventional comps from both teams here, and I am honestly loving it.
You know, we call it unconventional, but also we are in a different bracket. We didn't get invited to the UKY.
It's unconventional, but it's not the stereotypical Ram comps, and I'm loving that. I'm loving a little bit of diversity.
I do think it's interesting that Winston is the one holding this point here. They've got the monkey holding the point and everybody else taking top, which is, I think, a crazy play because now Winston can just join top. Now that the entire team's on top and they've taken their time, now Gold is going to get pushed way far back here, and point is really just going to be able to move no matter what.
Yeah, so it's, I mean, this has kind of just been fight from high ground and fight from low ground. It's been very odd in terms of positioning. Their Widow is going to get a crazy shot onto who's James here. We're going to try and get a spear onto their Zenyatta. Are there Tracers in our backline kind of just killing our supports? Galvanijo is extremely weak here, and it's just the Brig heals. This is going to kind of have to be back up and wait for the rest of your team to join you on the point.
All of these characters are very much back up and wait for your team. Nobody here can really hold on their own, including the Orisa. The Orisa just, especially into a Winston, just gets melted. I think that the Orisa swap might be necessary here just with the different difficulties that come with the specific comp that they're running. Toonie does fall, so we are down one of our big healers.
Yeah, so we're just going to try and hold point here as long as possible, only having one support being our Baptiste. Their Widow is going to immediately pop sights as soon as she gets it, just so that they know where our team is. Their Anti-Nade is going to come out. It is going to get Carp, though. So we're going to have to just stall as long as possible, but we're not going to be able to do it with just having one support.
You know, I think that fight right there, Galvanijo holding behind the truck, and so they said, all right, let's respond by getting rid of Galvanijo's healers. We disrupt Galvanijo's healers, and Galvanijo realizes that I can't just sit behind this truck, I have to make a move, and that Widow was ready for that move, laying into Galvanijo the whole time. This D.Va swap I really like. I think that D.Va into Winston is a little bit scary, just with the big shield and all those things, but when D.Va's got shotguns. D.Va's got shotguns that you can just get rid of that big old monkey. And I think it's a completely fine pick.
Yeah, we're also going to see the Kiriko swap here from Carp. So this is going to be kind of a little bit of trying to counter that Widow. And there we go, the immediate headshot into the missiles to get that Widow off of the pressure. Nijo kind of went in without the sightlines of his supports. So that is kind of a little scary. Maybe who's James here is going to look for a pulse bomb, but he's going to abandon that kill there. And our Brig is getting absolutely bullied by this ulting Winston here. And she's going to follow it. But, I mean, UCLA is pushing this point here.
I feel like Toonie almost has to question, is Brig the play? Having to hold out shield 90% of the time so that the snipers don't take you out. Discord.
Pulse bomb is going to come out. It's just going to miss, slide right through their support. We are going to kind of just do as much damage as possible. Their Widow is going to get our Kiriko, but she is extremely weak. Not going to get the health pack. Who's James is going to fall to their Zenyatta, though. There's a nanoed Winston jumping on our Brig here. And that is a very scary sight to see if you are Brig and Blakey.
You know, like I said, this Brig, I think Toonie can hold this. Toonie can absolutely hold this, but I don't know if Brig can. Brig is just so countered in this comp. Every single character is oriented around, I would like that Brig gone. And I think we're playing for the rally, which is why we pop it so quick here. So let's hope we can get some mileage out of it for whenever we do swap off the Brig.
Yeah, we're also going to use Overclock here. They are going to use Transcendence in response to our Overclock. So we're going to have to try and play a little bit of an odd angle here just to not take that much damage from the Widow poking up top. And we are also going to have our Diva Bomb here. We are going to have Rush as well. Their Widow is getting very, very pressured from Carp here, which I am loving to see. Their Tracer is going to jump in. Blake is going to fall. We are also going to dive their Widow. She is going to fall. So this is an even fight here. And as soon as I say that, James is going to fall to Zenyatta. Their Winston is going to ult. Their Zenyatta is going to get our Brigitte and Toonie here. And Carp is going to use the rush. Their Winston is going to immediately get Carp to fall. We do have our Diva Bomb, but it would probably be wise not to use it here and just stall as long as possible.
You know, I think that Galvanijo's plan wasn't exactly to like, oh, let me get in a good bomb position. Like, my entire team's dead. I need to see how long I can stall this, see if maybe I can kill some death timers, things like that. A pulse bomb, I wouldn't mind that being used here, right there.
Bomb is just gonna miss though. And Carp is gonna get the Widow though, so that's pretty big. Maybe looking for some headshots onto the Tracer. Not gonna get it. Galvanijo's gonna try and have to help Carp either get back or just die there.
You know, something I think is interesting, I don't mean to doubt the judgment of anyone on gold. James is going to swap to that soldier, unrelated, but I don't mean to doubt the judgment of anyone on gold, but we held that Brig. We held that Brig for maybe an extra little bit, hoping that it would work. We've now swapped to the Ana, but is it too late? Are we going to be able to get that nano up in time for it to actually matter, is the real question.
We are also back onto the Tracer. We swapped to the soldier and then immediately swap back to the Tracer. The nade is going to come out. We are also going to have the Galvanijo pick onto the Winston. This is definitely more of a dive-oriented comp, and I kind of like it.
I think this is a little bit more synergy. This is a lot better flow that we have going on with this point specifically. Or this comp specifically, rather. They are just going to be able to push this point to the choke. We're waiting for them to get to the choke, and we're going to dive on them. Galvanijo instantly getting slept, but James there to sort of make up for the sleep and weaken everybody for whenever that monkey wakes back up and just decides to wreak havoc on their team.
Yeah, their Tracer is going to pick two of us here. Is going to pick both of our supports. We are going to get their Widow, but their Winston is just doing so much damage to our team here. He is going to get stuck and fall to the Pulse Bomb. Galvanijo is just taking so much damage there. It is both of our supports going in first. That is very, very scary. They're just supporting each other, trying to stay on this point as long as possible. DP towards the point. Ooh, just not getting it. That is so unfortunate, as we could have built ults really, really fast there.
You know, I think that last point is really unfortunate because supports go out and they use Monkey Ult to try and keep you off. You so happen to pick the two characters that can actually hold that. Ana sleeping that monkey would be massive, and Kiri's teleport makes those big knockbacks not really hurt as much as they should. And it was really unfortunate that we weren't able to use that to our full potential. I think hopefully we can figure out what's wrong with our comp a lot faster. I think that Orisa, we were running that Orisa for a little bit. I want to say that we swapped it almost as soon as we realized that it wasn't working. But the Brig and we changed up the DPS line a lot, that we sort of forewent a lot of ults, and I think that them just having those ults were really what won them a lot of those fights. It wasn't a whole lot of skill or positioning or things like that. We went in, we performed well, and then they just had the utility to get rid of us without really caring.
Yeah, so it's looking like maybe on the attack, Blake is going to run with the Hanzo. Just a little bit of a pressure onto that Widow, just so Carpaz doesn't have to apply all of the pressure from the Kiri 2-tap with the kunai. But
it might also just be Sonic Dart.
It could also just be doing the Sonic as well. But I mean, Blake's Hanzo has been pretty good as the past few games, so maybe we'll commit it. I mean, it's looking. Maybe we'll commit it.
We have no idea.
We have no clue. Nope, we're going right to the Sojourn. Okay. I mean, it was fun while it lasted, but we do have a little more, definitely keeping the dive comp here with the whole setup that Center has. I mean, you're going to go up top. Galvanijo's going to get stuck and just immediately fall there. It was just too much pressure having both the Tracer and the Winston up top.
You always jump up there expecting there to be like one person, two people. Yeah, that's really rough that the supports get taken out from Widow there. This Widow has been a little bit of a nuisance. I think everybody on this team has been really good. And playing dive is really interesting because you're going into a team that all are able to fare really well solo and saying, all right, let's try and get them solo. It's something that is a really interesting play style, and I hope that it does start to work out for them. James able to take top and might try and dive deeper into their line here, but I don't think James really has the confidence if Galvanijo can't push up to assist. If you don't have your monkey coming in to help you, then really you're just a Tracer on your own trying to fight four of them. It's not something that Tracer can necessarily do.
Yeah, so this has kind of just been a playing around this corner, waiting for cooldowns, and just charging our support ult and charging our ult as much as possible. Their Tracer is going to have to use recall fairly early, but their Widow is just very, very deadly here. She is going to get to pick off Carp.
And dive is the anti-Widow comp. You know, if we're running dive, we should be able to focus this Widow, but they're running a dive and focusing our supports. So having these really sturdy supports like Ana and Kiri who can't really go anywhere. Kiri can if you go somewhere first, but really this is a support lineup that gets left in the dust by these dive comps, and we need the dive comp to take care of that Widow that's just terrorizing our support line.
Yeah, I mean, this Widow, I mean, I don't know how I would play this if I'm being honest, but the immediate thing I can think of is characters that can just obliterate this Widow, just jump on her and immediately try and take her out, but I just don't know if that would fit the playstyle we're going for right now. We are also looking at 3 ults from the side of UCLA, and we are closest to Pulse Bomb on the side of Center College.
You know, I don't think I could hit that shot in a million years. Just through 3 people, take out the Ana standing in spawn. I think that this is something that, you know, we can either choose to focus the Widow or we can double down and try and take out the Monkey. And I don't feel like we're doing really either. I feel like we're going for a split comp that can, you know, we can take out the Monkey with this comp, but we're not running like a Reaper or something that can mulch that shield like a Ramatra or something like that. And it's splitting our attention, and I think that it's Cooney is just getting bullied because of it.
Yeah, I mean, Galvanizo might be able to. Oh, they're gonna nano the Zen, but that's gonna kind of get some attention away. Who's James gonna be able to stake the Ana, and Carp's gonna be able to get the Widow. The Zen is still nano. Carp is gonna fall though. So is Blakey. It is looking like it is just Who's James and Galvanizo to try and get this point. Their Tracer is extremely weak on point. She is going to recall. Their Monkey is gonna try and come help. Who's James gonna go get the health pack. Galvanizo is 80 HP. He's gonna be able to get healed by both of his supports. Try and go forward. We do have both of our support ultimates, and we're coming up on overclock pretty soon, so maybe we can turn the tides here with some ultimates.
I think that we're definitely looking for the Nano. I think the Nano is something that we have our eyes on. We know that they're not 100% up yet. That Monkey got back fast, but you know, like that's one of the faster ults. We do use that Nano to go in. We're gonna try and focus these supports. That Nano's not gonna save you this time, Zen. We're gonna instantly get that support line down. Finally, we've got somewhat of a hitch in our giddy up. We're able to really dive onto them. I think that this probably comes from we were playing really defensive and we were scared about losing our supports, and so we kind of just had to get rid of their supports at the same time. And it really sucks. It really sucks that we're just saying, hey, Toonie and Carp, why don't you basically sit this one out? We have to make sure that their support line is down too. But I think it's the only thing that's gotten us any sort of movement so far in the round. So if it works, it works. Hopefully we can get them to swap off, change their playstyle so that we can play more of a support-oriented playstyle. But at the moment, that's just not the way it looks.
Yeah, the rush is going to come out here from Carp, and that could be a pretty fight-changing ultimate. We're going to miss the Suzu on Galvanizo. That is very, very unfortunate. The Pulse Bomb is going to come out, is going to get Toonie. We are down to Blakey is going to overclock, try and live as long as possible. He's not going to live. It is just Who's James trying to touch, but he is accepting his fate. That is 1-1 UCLA in center.
All right, last map wins. This is going to be Flashpoint. And this is really interesting. Whoever wins this is going to 100% leave these qualifiers and be able to progress further into the tournament. You know, like both teams are sort of on the line here. This is a really big tournament that they want to keep going in, and so you know, like this last Flashpoint is going to be a very just we have to clutch up. We have to lock in. So we'll see you all then. everyone, and welcome to the final match. It is 1-1 of this qualifying match for the UKY Bluegrass Showdown. The winner of this will get basically a guaranteed ticket into going on into the actual matches beyond the qualifiers. So it's a very very intense. So it's 1-1. Whoever wins this map will win it all. Something that I'm looking at right here is Galvanijo's running the Ram, and I don't mean to put any doubt in this Ram, but Junker Queen has always been the play for New Junk City.
It's not New Junk City. This is
not
Servasa.
This is Servasa. The words that I'm saying.
Your point still stands.
Junker Queen has always been the pick, and so I think that it's a little scary that we're busting out something new, but I guess it's still Ramatra. We still know that Galvanijo's nasty with the Ramatra, so I'm eager to see it.
Yeah, we are seeing the very conventional comp here from Center Gold, but we are also seeing the Junker Queen and Genji coming out here from UCLA. The Genji's a very interesting pick. We'll see how it fares against the Mei. So we're just gonna go kind of the more standard route. UCLA is gonna go to the backup point. That is a very interesting kind of rotation, but I think it could work pretty well as they have a lot of natural cover. They have a few people up top. Their tank is down low. The wall is gonna come out just barely, not blocking her off. But she's gonna kind of push a little bit forward here. She can do that because of her supports. We're gonna have to back up here from that knife. Harp is gonna get dove by the Genji. Their tank is gonna fall to a big rail, but then their Genji is doing so much damage in our backline. Their Moira is so weak, but Galvanijo and Bliku don't have their supports enough to get them healed, and UCLA is gonna get the point cap.
That was a really close fight. I think that just absolute blatant thing that I saw there was just how limited we were on our sort of range and mobility and things like that. You had Genji and Lucio bouncing around the top in order to sort of just stall, just to distract us for a little bit as the rest of the team got onto the point, and we just couldn't get up there. We couldn't get our tank up there, anything like that. Blue James swapping onto the Reaper is no doubt a response to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a response into getting up, but the range is still kind of in question here. We are all immediately starting this point very weak. Their Sojourn is going to hold up top. You're going to try and boop her off, but it is not going to quite reach. And then we're going to get her to deflect right into Who's James' face there. So this is going to be down. We are already down 3 for this flashpoint. And Galvanijo is going to fall, and we're just going to try and run back here. Maybe potentially get one more touch.
Yeah, with the nature of flashpoint, this is definitely not going to be one more team fight. This is one more touch. This is probably Toonie trying to get that last little overtime tick, but with the team so far up, I don't know that Toonie can actually get that.
Yeah, I think that we have. Oh no, we are gonna go wide. We are gonna swing around the side here, and Toonie's gonna try and get this last minute touch. He's going to get it. Messed up the wall ride just a little bit, but we do get that last touch and put it in overtime for this first little point here. Galvanijo is extremely close to the annihilation. Who's James is gonna get one of their supports. They have an ultivantage here. We have annihilation. We might be able to use it. We do have full lessons. We are gonna annihilate. They are going to beat in response to our annihilation. We are on the Moira, but the Moira is gonna fall. That is the ults are just gonna be used from both sides here, and that is gonna be a point for UCLA.
A lot of these are just ending up being, they're just ending up being to where it's Galvanijo versus the rest of who all is left, which means that our backline is just getting lasered by someone, and we need to figure out who. Last time it was the Widow. I have a feeling this time it's that Genji. I think that Genji is diving us just way beyond what we can handle, and we need to reorient our playstyle and composition around that, or else the same thing's just going to keep happening.
Yeah, it looks like their Genji is kind of above us, and Toonie's gonna be looking for boops. It was a valiant effort. Their Genji is gonna blade as well. Who's James and Galvanijo gonna get 2? We are gonna beat just to try and make sure we live and get this point. Their Genji is gonna fall to the not the annihilation, but the Nemesis form rather. And Toonie is still looking for those weird plays on Lucio. I mean, I respect it, but at this point we just kind of make sure we stay alive as Carp is going to fall to a rail.
It's a little bit scary that on one hand, if Toonie gets that boop, it's basically a guaranteed kill. We're taking this fight onto the previous point, by the way. They're going to coal in order to try and preserve there. We are so far off the point that they're actually going to retake. They're going to retake while we were chasing down a sub. And that
is also going to be the rampage there from their Junker Queen. The wall is going to come out. That is a pretty big wall, but Carp is going to fall to their Junker Queen. That is 4 dead. That is the whole team for Center dead. That flank around by their Tracer and their Lucio was an absolutely, that was a very good play from them.
Honestly, you have to ask the question, like, as funny as it sounds, are we being too goofy? We've got Toonie just sort of going around on his own to try and get some of these boop kills that like maybe we shouldn't really be going for. And then we have, oh, let's dive the Moira, and the Moira just culls, preserves long enough, and they retake the point. I don't know if this is how we should be playing this.
The good wall there, though, from Blakey is going to get their tank separated. Carp is going to have to fall back a little bit. The Tracer is going to follow him. Dooney is going to fall as well. That is both of our supports down. We are not going to get the point cap. They are going to commit overclock. Galvanijo is going to get their Tracer. But that is going to be another team wipe on the side of Center College.
Yeah, this DPS lineup has just been a wall that we have not been able to get through. The Tracer was able to just guess where Carp was going and finish off Carp after fading away, and managed to get out after that. And so we are just not putting enough priority on sort of safety with these supports. We're losing Carp in a lot of these fights. Carp has had Cole for a minute and not been able to really pop it because Carp hasn't been a part of these fights just due to how vicious their DPS lineup has been.
Yeah, so we are also going into this fight. We have our Death Blossom, we have our Coalescence, very close to Annihilation. We have an ult advantage. The Coalescence is going to come out. The wall is going to block out the rest of their team. Their Junker Queen is extremely weak. She's going to fall. Their Lucio also trying to look for some damage. The Pulse Bomb is going to come out, not going to find anybody. We are also going to get their Moira and their Tracer as they have 2 on point. This is surely will be a point flip there for Center. And there's the final kill. This is going to be the point originally sent.
Really nice that we're able to get this point early and without using any ults. I think we used Cole to go in, but once again, Cole comes back every 5 seconds, so it's not something we need to worry about. I just hope that Carp is able to use it. Like I said, Carp is getting taken out of these fights before he can get into a position to Cole. So hopefully we can prolong long enough with Blizzard and Blossom. I have no doubt that we'll be able to hold this for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, who's James is looking on this off angle here. I mean, he knows where this team is coming from. At least he knows where the tank's coming from. This is looking like Death Blossom territory, but he's going to fade to get out. There's the Death Blossom. He is going to fall, but he's going to do a lot of damage to the Junker Queen in the process. We are also going to Blizzard as they use their beat. We are very close to a beat of our own. We also are very close to Annihilation, but we are going to lose our Lucio. We're going to lose both of our supports to their Tracer. They're going to Cole as well in order to secure this point, and that is just going to be a kind of tactical die and get out.
Another thing I do want to note is that we had control of that point, and then we used our DPS ults, and then them dropping after we used our DPS ults got them point. That entire fight sort of took place while they had point, even though we kind of just gave it to them. So I think we need to maybe stop trying to play on these high grounds as sort of, not stop trying to play it at all, but maybe put a little bit less emphasis on it, because we're just letting them do this. We did it a lot on Samoa as well.
Yeah, we are immediately going to go main. Their tank is going to fall. We are going to beat in order to secure this point. Blakey is extremely weak. He is going to fall. Their Sojourn is going to fall to a nice headshot there from Who's James. Their Moira is also going to fall. It is just their Lucio trying to stall this point out here. And their Tracer is also on this point. She's going to get Carp. She's going to stick Tooney. That is both of our supports down, but it is our Lucio, so they hopefully get a fast back for this last little fight here.
We saw that just a little bit. There was a deprioritization of the Tracer because you're like, oh, Tracer's low, there's people back there. And that Tracer took out 2. We sort of need to keep eyes on these guys at all times. The Tracer's not going to be here for this fight, and so hopefully we can just pummel this Junker Queen.
The knife. But Carp is going to use Coalescence. They are going to anti. Their Sojourn is extremely weak. Their Sojourn is going to fall. This is an even fight now. Their Lucio is diving both of our supports. Galvanijo is going to try and pummel into their tank. We have our Annihilation if we feel like we need to use it, but it looks like it's not going to come out. Their Tracer is going to blink into point. That wall is going to block off the Lucio. Blakey is going to fall. We are going to keep control of this point. Their Lucio is extremely weak. The Lucio is going to fall. It is just the Tracer on point. That is going to be the point for Center College. We are not out of this yet at all.
I think the reason that we win that point is because of how Carp played that. I think that if Carp is given the ability to live past the first 5 seconds, Carp is going to annihilate your team. That was the Cole, and then that was the pivot from, all right, now let me go up top in order to chase down the Sojourn, high priority target, kill the Sojourn, but at the same time, I'm going to angle myself to where I'm healing the whole team while I'm doing it. It was a really good way to play that, and I don't think that we win that if Carp didn't play that as well as he did.
Yeah, we do have a little bit of an ult advantage here in terms of we have 2 and they only have 1 very close. Their support ults are almost online. Looking like we are going to freeze. We are going to freeze. That's going to get their tank. Their tank is immediately going to fall. That is a very vital pick. Their Lucio was frozen, but the wall just kind of blocked off our view. Their Tracer is going to fall as well. That is going to be 3 picks here from Center. We need to cap the point though. Having every second is very vital on Flash Point. We are going to get it. So that is the point cap for Center there.
Something that's a little bit scary is we used Blakey's ult to cap that. We use Blakey's ult to cap that in order to kill their tank. I think that's a high priority. I'm completely fine with doing that, but it is still scary. We're not going to have that Blizzard in order to prolong any sort of fights here. We're probably going to have Supple, probably going to have Blossom, but, you know, you're just a little bit scary whenever you don't have that ace in the hole that comes with Blizzard.
Right, I mean, this is a very even fight here right now. I mean, the Cole is going to come out. We are going to get a good wall off. Their tank is going to be very weak. Their Moira is going to fade in. The beat is going to come out. Both of the supporters are going to come out from the side of UCLA. We are going to kind of fade back. Toonie is very, very close to the beat. We are going to beat up cooldown. Galvanijo is also going to ult. We have the Death Blossom if we want to try and secure this point here. The Death Blossom is going to come out, is going to secure that pick onto the tank. Xerxes is going to get who's James. Galvanijo is going to find two. It's just the Lucio and Tracer on point. We maintain control at this point. We committed everything there. Their Lucio is stalling very, very long in terms of this point. Their Tracer is also stalling very long. The recall is going to come out. She's going to be very weak. She is going to fall. And that is going to probably be the point cap here for center as well.
I think that was 100% a Galvanijo. I believe that was a 4K. Absolutely fantastic play from Galvanijo in that last fight. Once again, we use a lot of ults there. I think that I keep going back and forth on this. There's a lot of prioritization on the Junker Queen, maybe too much. We use Death Blossom there after the Junker Queen has died, and we get nothing for it, and it ends up making Who's James a little bit too slow, not able to make it out before dying in ult. Just, it's not a great position to be in, and you can hope to maybe space these out a little bit more. The knife is so scary, pulling our DPS out of position, doing so much damage, but still gonna have that high prioritization on that Junker Queen. Junker Queen gonna ult in order to try and get out and get healed enough in order to maintain this lead, and that's the entire team down, other than Toonie. Hopefully Toonie can get out, but I wouldn't take it out just to see a knife fly halfway across the map and drag him back in.
I'm honestly okay with them using that Rampage before the point even unlocked. I mean, that does get UCLA the point, but it also was their most valuable ult that they had online before the point was even unlocked. So this is more of an even fight, I would say now, in terms of ult advantage. I think Blake is going to be just immediately taken out there, though. That is unfortunate. Toonie is also going to be taken out. I think this is just trying to back up and live as long as possible. Galvanijo is also going to fall there. So we are going to need to back up fully and try and probably engage here with the Coalescence and just play care for that pulse bomb.
It's a quick set of deaths, and you have a Lucio. I wouldn't be super worried about that. They are at 50, which means that this fight is probably going to be the last fight that you get to do it without having to worry about touches or anything like that. So it's got to be a quick one. We're going to have Blizzard up pretty soon, and we've got that Coalescence to go in. We ended up getting rid of that Pulse Bomb. That's very nice. We're going to Coal onto the point in order to try and get as much momentum as possible, but they're going to overclock, hopefully get nothing with it. We take out the Moira, but Toonie does die to that JQ. Just a little bit too much priority, playing incredibly deep. Karp is going to fall. We have no supports for this fight. We use the Blizzard, but they use the beat. I don't think we can get anything out of this.
We managed to get the point flip, so if we stall as long as possible, they are not immediately going to get to 100. Toonie's going to have to get a good rollout here just to touch for as close as he can. He's going to hit his head. He's going to get booped as well. That is so unfortunate. Center fought with everything. That was such a close round going to the very last point on Flashpoint.
Yeah, that was an absolutely fantastic play from both teams. I think that was a really fun match to watch. And, you know, you have to commend every single player. Everybody was pulling out the stops. Everybody was having moments to where they were like, oh, let's do this play, and then it ends up just being an all-star play. And so I'm really glad to see that both these teams went to the final map. But yeah, that is going to be the end of this game. Right after this, we do have a league game, and we will see everybody later.